live in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hey, Life Structure fam. You can now listen to all of my episodes on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube. And if you're an Amazon Prime member, you can listen on Amazon Music. You're now tuned in to the Life Structure with Eric podcast. Thank you for pulling up and tapping in. Do me a favor before we get started. Take that index finger and hit that share button if you're on Facebook, and hit that subscribe button if you are watching on YouTube or listening on any of the other podcast platforms. Thank you so much for tapping in. I know I've been hibernating for a little bit. It was hot. So I do very minimal during the summertime, but it's cooling off and we're getting the podcast back rolling. And yes, today I am very excited to chat with my guest today because why? She's probably the most popular guest that I've ever had on my podcast. She's my firstborn daughter, and she's beautiful inside and out. And I promise you, you will all just fall in love with her spirit. Today, I have none other than the Dr. Ishay Winfield as my guest. And I'm so blessed to have her on. Welcome to the podcast, Miss Winfield. How are you?
Good. How are you?
I am good. I'm good. Thank you for joining me today. So before we jump in, let's just start out because there is a reason that I have her on today. But before we jump in to everything, share with the Life Structure family a little bit about yourself, where you're from, a little bit about your career, and what it is that you exactly do.
Hey y'all. I am Ishay Winfield, Dr. Winfield. I'm from Richmond. I currently live in Maryland. I didn't know that was going to be popping up. That's going to be distracting. I currently live in Maryland. I practice in DC as a pharmacist. As far as like my background goes on me becoming a pharmacist, I am a graduate of the illustrious. We got to add that in when it's a HBCU. Fisk University in Nashville, Tennessee. I graduated from there with my bachelor's in biology in 2018. And then I moved back home to Richmond. Well, let me back up though. I'm also a member of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated, Iota Alpha chapter at James Madison University. So that's like my undergraduate history. Moving on to pharmacy school, I went back home to Richmond to obtain my doctorate of pharmacy in 2022 from Virginia Commonwealth University. And then I moved to Maryland, DC to obtain my PGY1 or postgraduate year one training as a pharmacist with Walgreens and the Howard University College of Pharmacy. And now I actually work for the Howard University College of Pharmacy as a clinical assistant professor. So I'm teaching PharmD students that look like me, that come from similar backgrounds as me and different backgrounds as me, but that has been a great experience so far. Yeah, that's me in a cute little bow.
Yeah, well, that's a beautiful bow. That's you've done a lot, and you hear it from me all the time. It's just been an amazing experience to see you blossom. Um, I've seen the times that you were a little discouraged, but just the strength that I know that you hold on the inside of you, it doesn't take much to push you, when you're kind of running low on fumes. And every time that I had the opportunity to speak into you and give you a little push, I can tell it was much appreciated. And it's amazing to see, where you are at today. And you're still in the beginning because there is so much more that I know you're going to accomplish, especially with this new career path that you've taken over at Howard. I know that's going to take you a long way. So I'm excited to see actually where that takes you. So you work primarily as a pharmacist. What impact do you feel you have on people that you actually interact with?
So before now, I worked in the community pharmacy space. So what most people would see as Walgreens, CVS, the grocery stores. I was previously with Walgreens and was working at an outpatient facility. And I think that in that space, my biggest impact or like my biggest opportunities for impact come with educating patients. So I know that many patients don't even understand the foundational things associated with what I do in the pharmacy. We're not just putting the drugs in the bottle and handing them out to patients. I'm looking through their profiles. I'm making sure that if they're already on a medication and they're being initiated on something new, I'm making sure it's safe for them to take medications. I'm making sure that if they have any health conditions, the medications are safe to take with those health conditions. I'm making sure that they understand how to take the medications, what to do if they miss a dose, how to store them, how they should navigate side effects. So I think that my biggest opportunity is education. And even with the education, it helps to help them overcome barriers. For example, if a patient can't afford a medication, directing them to the right resources for them to be able to get the medication if it's outside of what they can typically afford, or helping them to understand the process of obtaining a medication for those things that require some extra paperwork or like communication between their providers. Um, so generally speaking, I think that that's a huge thing for my patients, but also just as a Black woman working directly with patients, many times they're not comfortable sharing their full story or why they're not taking a medication or what's preventing them from taking a medication. And ultimately, a doctor can prescribe, a person can go to the doctor, but if they're not going through the treatment that has been initiated, they are still not able to fully care for themselves. So, as a Black woman that exists in that space, many times I think that just looking the way that I do is a resource to someone, because at that point they feel comfortable sharing everything that they are going through, every like sharing everything about themselves, so that when a therapy is not optimized for that specific patient, I can step in, talk to their doctors, be that bridge of communication, because they feel more comfortable with me than they do with their providers or their care team. So if it's not me directly using my brain, it's me using my heart to just facilitate someone having those resources necessary to care for themselves when not everyone cares about them caring for themselves. So that's kind of something that I have intentions on taking with me into the new space as a clinical assistant professor, because many times it's students needing that resource. Someone, again, I'm like this young girl coming into this space with these students, and they're like, are you one of us? Are you a new student? Like, what are you doing? I think that that helps the students to realize that what they're doing is achievable. Like, I did not have this direct, like, school was not something that was just direct for me. I had to study, I had to do the work. I was working while I was in school. I was doing all the things. I've always done all the things, and being able to tell my story, I think, is huge for the students, and still huge for the patients, because again, when they see me doing what I'm doing, that may be something to encourage their grandchildren or their children to pursue something in the same space as me, because at the end of the day, we need more providers that look like me, or look like us, because by having people that we're more comfortable with expressing what we're going through and how we can take care of ourselves. By doing that, we improve the health of our population. So I use my brain, but I use my heart, and that is like how I, all in all, like putting all that in one thing. My biggest goal as a pharmacist has always been to be a resource for people. It's never been about the drugs or the science. That's not necessarily my passion. My passion is like the people in the space. So yeah, I'm always looking of ways that I can like be a resource for the patients, if nothing else. Yeah.
Yeah. Uh, I love how you summed it up of using your brain as well as your heart. Um, you know, a lot of when you said the part about helping people that don't, they don't have the insurance to cover, certain meds that they need. And I heard you say, you go a step above to look for resources that may can help them get that medication that they need, even though their insurance doesn't cover it. Because I know a lot of people that I hear that they get real stressed out when they find out that they have a medication that they need and their insurance doesn't cover it. And from the way that they talk, the pharmacists don't give them any type of resources to let them know, well, hey, your insurance may not cover it, but you can go this route or you can go this route. And that's one of the things that you have to have compassion, when you have the job that you have. First of
Mm.
all, that's a huge task of giving, you're preparing meds for people, that's trying to help them with something that they've been diagnosed with. You're already dealing with this certain illness that could literally, you know, take your life. But at the same time, you know how important it is. You know how bad that they need these medications. So even though their insurance don't cover it, you go the step above to try to look for resources. And I'm sure that's a huge interaction, and it's something that it make them want to keep coming back to see you, because that's a bond that's kind of, you experience that connection with them, and they feel like they can trust you because they see that compassion that you have on the inside of you.
Yeah, that's my favorite part.
Absolutely. Well, so then so how we kind of talked about it a little bit earlier, but um going back to college, because like you stated, you started out at JMU and then you went to Fisk and then you finished out at VCU. How challenging was college for you? And was it times that you felt that you weren't cut out for the task?
Mm. College was like, I am a competitive person. And I think that, like, when you have a competitive spirit, even when things are challenging for you, this is going to sound very like toxic and concerning, to be honest, but like it's almost like, okay, this is hard, but like I'm harder. So the harder the task, the more that I'm going to try to find a way to figure it out, because it's like you can't beat me. Like this can't you can't beat me. Um and I think that college started as a very, it was a, I had to make a huge adjustment. I wasn't used to, it's funny, I went to high school, or obviously I went to high school, but I graduated number 5 in my class, and I don't necessarily remember studying a whole lot. And that's not to say I'm brilliant. I think it's more of just, I went to a high school in a area where, like, the schools aren't receiving all the money at my school. You know, we had the barriers to having, we had barriers at my high school. I'll just leave it at that. Great school. And I think that the staff works hard to make sure that the students come out and are in a good place. But as far as like academically, I don't think that it was challenging enough to prepare me for college. So when I got to college, I'd be in bed, chilling, hanging out. Oh, I'll study when I get to it. But my best friend would be studying. She's not in bed chilling. Sion, let me be specific. She's also a pharmacist. And I'm like, well, we taking the same classes. So if she's up studying, I should probably also be up studying. So that's when I started to like realize, okay, you have to adjust your study habits. You have to take on this task a little differently than you did high school, because it's a different space. And I just say that to say every space of college, I had to continue to reassess what the task was that I was working on in that moment and figure out how I approached that task. There was not one study habit that was sufficient for every class or every test or every quiz or whatever. I had to be fluid in those spaces, and what people will say, like a chameleon. I had to continue to assess, adjust, because at the end of the day, we want one little cookie cutter to fit every situation, but that's just not what life is. So I think that college could have been seen as like difficult, but when you don't allow things to deter you, when you know that you have had this, I don't want to say calling, but if you know that this is something that you're supposed to be doing, it doesn't matter that it's hard. It's just like, how can I achieve it? How can I accomplish it? And as you know, but the people don't necessarily know, I have very strong faith. So I think that even when something challenges me, I have learned to allow myself to like, when I'm not confident in myself, I'm confident in God. So it doesn't matter how much the challenge can make me feel like it's going to defeat me. It's like, okay, but God, so I think that anything can be hard when you're doing life and doing school, doing work, whatever, but you know, God's gonna step in, he's gonna fill in your gaps, so it doesn't matter. Um, yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I had to speak this past Saturday, and that's something that I kind of added in. Just talking about faith. When you're doing something that that God has directed you to do, it's your purpose. And a lot of times it gets really, really challenging. But at the same time, like Miss Carol said, she don't like when people tell her she can't do something. She will do everything she can to prove them wrong. Um,
Absolutely. Every
and
time.
that's I mean, especially when it's something that God has planted on the inside of you, and even when it gets challenging, that's when that faith kicks in. It's like, God, I know you told me that I'm supposed to be doing this, so I'm guessing this obstacle that's in front of me is just you testing me to see how strong I really am. Am I going to fall back and break, or am I going to push through and trust you and just get behind you and let you guide me through this? So, yeah, that's the biggest thing that so many people succumb from when they're doing something that God has planted on the inside of them, because they forget that he planted it on the inside of them, and they stop trusting him through the process, uh, because we tend to put ourselves in front of him, and that's when that obstacle comes. So yeah, definitely. As long as you stay behind him and let faith lead you, you connect to faith and let him lead you. Pretty much 99.9% of the time, you're going to be successful.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I agree.
yeah, yeah. So, um, also, um, why is my phone ringing? I got it on silent, but anyway, and it's your aunt Cindy.
That's
She
because you
should be.
got her in the favorites. That means that call gonna come through the do not disturb,
Oh, see,
and it should.
y'all smarter than me. I didn't. Right. Okay. And she
If you
probably
the
calling
you
saying,
know I don't
she probably calling saying, what time y'all supposed to be on?
Can you send me the link?
Right. Acting like her grandmama.
Look,
I'm acting
I'm
like
about
her
to call
grandmama, acting
back.
like her mama. What time y'all? Oh Lord, I'm late.
It's
But
okay. You can rewatch it
right,
at your leisure.
right. Oh, she said, hey, she done heard us talking about her. We were just talking about you. She done heard us. So since we were talking about school, real quick, what last month, a month ago, we actually, you actually were blessed to be able to go back to your high school, and you were inducted into the Wall of Fame.
Wow.
Talk about that experience. I mean, that's like a huge accomplishment. There's not a lot of names on that wall, but you were blessed to be able to go back to the school, and you had the induction, and then the night of the game, you were able to walk on the field. Talk about that experience, going back, seeing some of the old teachers, seeing how much you were loved and appreciated, and you had family and friends that showed up.
Yeah. So stuff like that, if I'm being very like totally honest and transparent, makes me uncomfortable because I feel so regular. Like everything that I do it because I want to, not because hey, I'm Cindy. I'm just seeing it. Not because like I'm like, okay, if I do this, it's gonna like check off this box. 9 times out of 10, I'm just like following my heart and the things that I pursue because I think that many times we get so caught up in like working and achieving goals that we forget about our purpose and aligning ourselves with what God has intention for us. Um, so with that being said, when people make a big deal out of the stuff that I'm doing, it makes me uncomfortable because it's like I didn't do this for an applause, so you don't have to do that. Because I don't want you to think that that was my expectation. So going on to talk about the Hall of Fame, it's definitely an honor because I think that if it regardless, it does feel good when people see you for who you are past. Like, it's great that I'm a pharmacist, but again, I'm not a pharmacist because I want people to refer to me as Dr. Winfield. Actually, unless I'm at school or unless I'm in a setting where you are referring to everyone in that way, I'm good. I don't need that. Um, but I think that seeing who I am past, like who I am as a pharmacist, like reflecting on who I was in high school and how who I was in high school has guided me to this space. It feels good to know that I am still making an impact on my high school, especially with the things that I talked about earlier, and just making it being an example to people coming out of my school. Like,
Hmm.
this person has done all of this in 10 years, because it's only been 10 years since I graduated high school. And um yeah, overall, I just think it's nice to continue to be an example for the people coming out of my high school, coming from where I come from, because at the end of the day, I think that examples and role models play a huge role in the development of the people behind me, or even the people like that are my age. It's not like you can't at this age like go to pharmacy school, go and get a trade, go back to school and just pursue whatever your goal was. So I think that for me, it reminded me that people are watching what I'm doing. And as long as I continue to pursue the things that are put on my heart, like I can continue to impact people, whether it's directly or indirectly by being a role model. So I'm just gonna circle that answer up. Yeah. But it was nice.
Okay.
It was nice to also like see all the other great things that people have done in my high school because I didn't know. I only knew two people on the panel. One person because I would watch him play with my cousin when he played at Highland Springs as well, and the other person graduated with me. So everyone else, it just was really nice to see that we are continuing to try to impact our community even after we come out of spaces where like that's the expectation.
Right. Yeah. I totally agree with you, Miss Carol, but that's just her. Miss Carol said, I like that you are so humble, but you work so hard to earn your title, embrace it.
Thank you,
But
Miss Carol.
I I wasn't even shocked that that was your response because I've seen so much stuff that you've done over the years. You know, you be telling me you're doing something this weekend, you're going to do this, you're going to do this. And I reached out to you, you know, how was it? You'll be like, it was okay. It was okay. That's why when you say I actually enjoyed myself. I'm like, whoa, that's different because it's you everything is downplayed, you know, because like Miss Carol said, you're so humble. So you just want to be this normal person and enjoy yourself.
Extremely
But
humble.
you know, you'll just be like, uh, it was okay. So yeah, when you actually respond to me and tell me, you know what, I actually had a great time. I'm like, okay, that's different because normally I don't get those over the top responses from you. So when I hear that, I'm like, okay, she really had a great time.
Yeah, I did. It was cool.
Yeah. So one of the many things that we have in common is, you know, we both have a heart for people, love giving back. Let's talk about the Just Because Essential Drive. How did you come up with it and what's the purpose behind it?
So again, this really just aligns with everything I've been saying, and I promise this wasn't scripted. So literally named it just because again, don't want people to make a big deal out of it. It's just something that last fall, I don't it's funny because at some point last year, I think I just started thinking about how women really have to pay for feminine hygiene products, and we have no control over us needing these feminine hygiene products. Like, they're expensive. Not having them is uncomfortable. It's, if anything, it's a risk to women because by not having your feminine hygiene products, your hygiene is compromised. So now, like, you are in a bad position. But if you barely have the money to buy your food and your socks and your detergent and those things, adding on like pads and tampons and wipes and all those things is, that's like a lot. So I was like, okay, maybe I'll just do like a baseline feminine hygiene drive. But then I'm like, well, all those other things matter too, and people often struggle to purchase those things as well. So like, let's just do a little drive. We'll see how much money we raise, and we can walk around the community and give it out. But I didn't expect to have that much stuff because my timeline was cut short. We had our family. Um, I don't want to call it a situation, but we had a loss last year that kind of happened in the midst of all that. So I would like, my focus on that specifically was not high, but because it was something that was put on my heart, I'm like, just continue to do it however much you raise, however able you are to execute it. Like, the women, even if it's 10 people, like, they'll appreciate it. I ended up raising $1,200, and I was able to pass out bags at the Harriet Tubman emergency women's shelter in DC. And there, I mean, it wasn't anything intricate. I literally just one day was like, dang, that'd be cool to do. And I remember, in undergrad, doing things like making lunches for the homeless as an undergraduate student, doing that with sorors. And we would typically collaborate with the bros. So like, just doing little events for people, less fortunate individuals. And I was like, you know what? I could be doing more of that, whether it's through Delta or just independently. So yeah, I just went for it. And when the year came around, people were asking me if I was going to do it again. And I'm like, I guess I could make it an annual thing. Like, I'm sure even if it's once a year, that's me making that one time special for these women. And if I can increase the time, the frequency, cool. If not, cool. But regardless, this is a good thing to do each year. So that's where that stemmed from.
Absolutely. Well, I saw some of the pictures and stuff from last year, and I I basically told you when I found out you were doing it this year that it's only going to get larger. I mean, you're connected to some great people. This is a great cause, and you know, anytime people see that you have a heart for giving, people would jump in and help you, donate items and stuff to help everything be successful. And I saw it wasn't a lot of pictures, but I saw a few pictures of actual people that were receiving the items, and to see the smile on their face, being able to take in those items. Did you get to conversate with any of the people that day? Did they have some, I'm sure they had some grateful things to say. They showed a lot of gratitude for those items.
Yeah. So originally we were outside, and they just, a lot of them just came to the car, and definitely appreciative. It was a couple cars that pulled up that day. Some people giving out like just packs of thermals or like little snacks and things. Then I was actually able to go in the building and walk around because surprisingly, you think shelter, and to be honest, I expected to see young people, and not like, some people didn't even need the feminine hygiene things because they were out of that space in life. So to imagine someone who has a walker being in a emergency women's shelter, like, there were a lot of people that were in those spaces. And some people literally couldn't even get out of the beds to come outside. Like, that was how I ended up on the inside of the building, because they couldn't get out of the beds to come and get the bags. So like, I had to bring them the bags on the inside. And one of the conversations that I remember the most was actually from a woman who was on the outside of the shelter because they didn't have a bed for her. And she was kind of like, with there was like a spot with like trash and boxes, and it was her. She said her partner was there with her, but they weren't there at the time. So she asked me for an extra bag. And we were just talking to her about like the lack of resources that she had and how long she'd been out there. And my line sister Sydney and I actually went and bought her food in addition to like the bag that we gave her, just based off of, like they get lunch and things at this shelter. She wasn't getting those same things because she wasn't fortunate enough to just have a bed in an emergency shelter. So that also lets you know the
Mm,
number of women that were in the shelter. Um, yeah. So I think that more than anything, I remember thinking about like the age dynamic, or like the spread of the age, assessing like the employees there, which most of them were really friendly. You could tell that they had really good relationships, but they had like bunk beds throughout this shelter. And it made me change my perspective on even what that looked like for them. And again, how me being there and like giving them these bags and seeing them like lay all the items out all over their bag, it almost felt like, how myself as a child would feel like after I opened up all my gifts on Christmas, or on your birthday, or even like my mom, a Valentine's Day little basket. And it makes you reflect on your privilege and all of the
mhm.
opportunities you've had, and it makes you reflect on your family and kind of like, you know how would I step in if my family were ever in the position to not have someone who would be present to care for them? Because again, women in their 50s and 60s in the shelter, mind blowing. So I
Right.
remember those things more than I could say I remember any like one-on-one conversations.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's one of the things that, that's why I said never take what you have for granted. Even if you're in a house and you feel like, well, this house has this wrong, we need a roof and we need this and we need this. The house is too small, but you have a house. You know, um, like you said, there's people 50 and 60 years old in a shelter, and they don't know where their next meal is going to come from, other than what they give them there in the shelter. They don't have the needs that we have. So, the fact that God put it on your heart to be a blessing to these people, even if it's once a year.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it's greatly appreciated. It's greatly needed. So I definitely, commend you for doing that. And it can't stop. It can't stop. There are so many other people that can do the same thing. So so basically you're in preparation for your second annual drive this year. What are some of the items you're seeking donations for? And do you have like a certain goal this year?
So items, just reading directly from my flyer. I have garments on here, so socks, underwear, t-shirts, thermal tops and pants, and other winter accessories. That's messed up. Winter accessories, so like hats, gloves, and scarves. Um, I have blankets, which is kind of um that's like, when you got the extra tickets at Chuck E. Cheese and you can get the extra little thing. So if I had enough money to do like blankets, like laundry detergent and towels, may do that. We'll see. And then toiletries, so shampoo, conditioner, soaps, deodorants, toothbrush, toothpaste, floss, the feminine hygiene products that I was talking about, and even like combs, hairbrushes. Because again, these women don't have all the things. So again, last year I raised $1,200. Well, between what I contributed and the donations that I got just through Cash App, and this was solely from me posting it on my Instagram page, I raised $1,200. This year, I do want to. I need to actually. I'm going to do that today. Reach out to some businesses to see if anyone will support and give money, and spread it across more of my social media platforms, just because I have more confidence this year, seeing that people are trusting me with their money, trusting me to execute this. So I'm actually going to take it a step further and reach out and ask for more donations. With that being said, I do wish I took more photos last year. I'm awful about taking photos when I do things like this because, again, it's like I don't want to exploit people for one. I don't want to take
Right.
photos of you and you don't feel comfortable because, again, you're in an uncomfortable place for me to
Hmm.
have something to show off, because that's not why I'm doing it anyway. And it's like I don't think about taking pictures because I don't care to post to show people that I'm doing that. Again, it's just for me to do it. But anyway, all in all, you asked what my goal was. I think I can get $3,000 between what I would be willing to add, me reaching out to businesses and the donations from my friends, family, other supporters, or like mutual friends, family, that type of thing. Right now, I don't even think I've been raising. I'm going to tell you the date of the first donation that I got. So my first donation came on October 18th. Today is November 4th. We are at $875. And the deadline to donate is 11:30. And you know people gonna push it until 11:30 at 11:59 p.m. And that's all right. Because if you send that $2, $5, 50
Yeah,
cents, it's still
right.
gonna be worth the same amount on 11:30 as it is on today, 11:04. So that's my goal.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You're going to hit that 3,000.
Yeah,
Uh,
I don't think it's
yeah,
I think it's
because
feasible.
when I told you 3,000, God gave me that number.
Yeah.
So I shared with you the number that he gave me. So I'm confident that you're going to hit the 3,000, and then everything else is just going to be overflow. So yeah, we know that that will be achieved. So where can these donations be sent? And if people want to make a monetary donation, how can they do so? And you just said, did you say November 11th is the last day?
November 30th.
Duh.
I was like,
Right.
I'm reducing my timeline now. I
I
need
done
to,
moved it up.
yeah.
Yeah. So
No,
November
November
30th is the
30th,
last.
people.
November 30th. Don't pay me no mind. Yeah. November 30th.
Yeah, yeah.
Stop
Where can
laughing
they
at
send
me.
them?
Uh
I
so
prefer Cash App, but I have every app. I just prefer it because then I can keep it there and I plan to deposit it all at once into my bank account so that the money doesn't get mixed up. So Cash App is my preference, but I have Apple Pay, I have Venmo, Zelle, all those things. So look at that. I tell
we
you, you got
professional over
somebody
here,
tech
Carol.
savvy.
We Winfield. We
Hello.
professional.
Yeah. Hello. Love that. So that's my Cash App. My y'all see my name. You can reach out to me via Facebook or Instagram. My Instagram is pharmacist PHARMA underscore. Oh wait, sorry, that was wrong. PHARMASIS underscore. That's my Instagram. And Facebook is just my name. Also, my email is my name, Ishay Winfield, no apostrophe, at gmail.com. So if you want to email me with questions, I can send you my address. I'm not saying that here. So if you were to email me, reach out to me on any of my social media platforms. I will provide you with my contact information and we can kind of work to figure out how you can send me items. If you need to use a different app, we can talk about it. Lastly, I will make sure I post the flyer on Facebook so that my dad can share it and anyone else. And with that, I will attach a link to fill out a Google form because I do want to send out thank you cards. I want to send you like a receipt of you sending me money for this just so that your money can be accounted for. And I want to share with you following the event, the final. I want to let you know how much we raised, how many people we were able to impact, show you some photos. So you either get an email or like a postcard with that, just depending on how you opt into it. I'll take your address, your name. If you are in the DMV and you want to support me on the day of, I'll be doing the drive on December 21st. We'll be going to the Harriet Tubman's Women's Shelter again. So before that, if you want to help me put together like the bags, you can help me do that. If you want to help on the day of the drive and help me give out the items, you are welcome to do that. But all of that information is encompassed on the Google form that will be posted with the flyer on all of my social media. I think I answered all the questions.
Before I even asked you, I, I had a little, I kind of had a routine. I was trying to fill in some
Sorry.
gaps. You just jumped ahead.
Yeah, it was on my
Get out,
mind.
get out of my
You
head.
started talking about money, and I got excited. Gotta make
Yeah,
sure that people
you're
know
acting like
I'm
your
about
mama. You
business.
just talk and talk, 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 talk.
Look, and you know I sent her the link, so we might see her name pop up down here in the corner in a second.
Uh-oh. Well, let me be nice. I,
Get it right.
yeah, get it right. So, yeah, me personally, and I'm sure all of my life structure fam that's watching, I admire you for what you're doing. Um, Once again, as I stated, it's a great cause, and that's something that's very, very dear to my heart. Basically, just taking the time to give back because we get so busy, especially during the holiday season, that it's basically we forget. We forget about others. This is your Uncle Kevin. This is my best friend out here.
Oh,
Um, so
thanks.
you'll meet him at my event. He's actually very close, and he has a
Oh,
heart
thank
for
you
my
so
life structure.
much.
So now see, I said that before. Well, yeah, and he's the
Oh,
greatest DJ ever. Yeah, he's the
greatest
greatest
look,
DJ
send me a
ever.
couple mixes.
Uh,
I'll post you all over my Instagram. You help me, I help you. Uncle
Look,
Kevin.
you heard that? She said send her a couple of mixes, dude. Yeah,
Yeah,
cause
that email
cause
I told you?
cause I
Yeah.
cause don't tell nobody, but we really need to grow his Instagram. Yeah, he's struggling. His daughter and Maya was telling him this past week. She was like, we got to grow your Instagram. So yeah,
Yeah, Imma turn you up
yeah. We appreciate you, brother, man. We
so
appreciate you.
much.
Yeah, that's my guy there.
My
So
Instagram also has 2 underscores. I don't know if you have 2 down there, but if anyone is unsure, it's 2 underscores after the last S.
uh-oh. Let me go back and redo that.
I had it wrong on my flyer for a week and a half circulating.
That's two underscores.
Yes, that was what was
Okay,
available.
gotcha. Two underscores. Yeah. So one quick question for you. Miss Carol had asked earlier if you ever do talks or educational pieces on the fentanyl epidemic.
That is so funny because I actually just did a CE presentation, continuing education presentation at the National Pharmaceutical Association conference this year. It was our annual conference. Let me just as a shameless plug, the National Pharmaceutical Association is actually a pharmaceutical association for Black and other underrepresented pharmacy professionals. And it was originally established to assure that Black people pursuing pharmacy were able to achieve that goal back in the day when they were not permitting Black students to do their rotations, which were necessary to obtain your license, whether it was your bachelor's or having your PharmD. So that's why I am passionate about NPHA because of the impact that it has had and will continue to have on Black and other underrepresented pharmacy professionals, pharmacists, pharmacy technicians, so on and so forth. So I actually did a continuing education presentation on behalf of my former residency program director because she's very passionate about opioid use disorder and impacting that and reducing the impact that it has on minorities and other individuals. And my presentation was actually on the role of the pharmacist in opioid use disorder. So, just talking about how we can step in and not only counsel patients, but move towards having the ability to initiate those medications that help to offset opioid use disorder or like cravings and things like that. So, what medications are available, knowing if someone is pregnant or if someone has not necessarily stopped using the medication yet, or if they've been off it for this long, what they can use, how we can help them to wean off of whatever opioid, so fentanyl included. Um, yeah, and she also is really big about like she'll set up and give out naloxone in the DC communities. She's constantly working to train other pharmacists in the space of just having an impact in this space, because we do have that opportunity, especially working in the community and seeing like, okay, you have habits or tendencies that align with someone with opioid use disorder. Can I talk to you about this? And like, that's not how we would approach them, but you see it
Mm,
and you think, okay, how can I assist this individual in reducing the impact that this condition has on their life. Yeah, so I did do that presentation. Actually recently did a training in order to obtain a certificate to do consultations and potentially initiate medications for patients or, individuals in the community. So that's a great question, and yes, I'm working to be more impactful in that space.
awesome. Yeah, I figured you had did that.
Yeah,
Um,
just a few
because I
months
know that what was that?
just a few months ago. It was
Yeah.
like August, September.
Uh-huh. Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, it's definitely people that needs to be educated
There's a
on
lot
that.
of options. There's so many options. And I think that people think that it's not a real treatment, or they think that there's so much stigma and judgment that healthcare professionals have that discourage individuals from pursuing resources for them to reduce and get rid of cravings that they have associated with um, the physical dependency that they have developed. And it's like these medications will help you to achieve your goals as far as reducing the use of them. So don't be afraid of them. Don't feel judged. Don't feel like you are weak or like not successful in like getting rid of this. I don't want to say habit, because we're by adjusting the language that we use associated with opioid use disorder, we help to reduce the stigma. And by reducing the stigma, you help to make people feel more confident and comfortable in pursuing the resources that will help them to be better. So all in all, there's so many resources, and I think that we as pharmacists should and could be more like better about educating and offering the resources to patients. Yeah.
Yeah, good deal. Well, this has been a great discussion. I'm so glad and grateful that you agreed to come on and share with us. You're always so busy. Uh, so I'm glad that you
Yeah.
had time in your schedule to come on and basically chat with me and also talk about this amazing cause that you're raising raising funds and items, for your cause. So before we go, um, are there any positive affirmations that you could leave
Mm.
us with? Or if there is someone that may be going to school right now that's actually experiencing some challenges, is there anything positive that you can kind of bless them with?
So one of the things that I am challenging myself with in my current space is doing it scared. And I've been doing that in a lot of ways because I think that by so something that I tell myself all the time is if I'm doubting myself, I feel like I'm disrespecting God, because if you know that God has directed you to do something, then you know that He's going to equip you to do it. So, therefore, if you are scared, that's okay. Because even if you fail, even if you make a mistake, even if you don't do it perfectly the first time, it's like that was like a stepping stone. And if you continue to talk yourself out of it by being scared, you will never do it. So, either do it and make a couple mistakes, or don't do it and keep being like, you can either be uncomfortable from doing it and not understand, like not having the skills which you have to develop, not having the knowledge which you have to obtain, or you can be uncomfortable for having to sit around and think about how you never did it, like, dang, I wish I had done that. So it's like either way you're going to be bothered. You're going to be bothered because you are progressing towards it, or you're going to be bothered because you have been stagnant. And by doing that, that is why I do so much. That is why I'm always busy, because I think that if I am not leaning into what God is pulling me towards, I'm disrespecting him. Because if I'm telling him like, nah, that's too much for me, that means you don't believe that he's equipping you. And you can't pray and ask for him to align you with all these things and provide you with all these great things in life and helping you to be this great person if you refuse to be the person that he's calling you to be. So do it scared.
I love that. Do it scared. I love that. And I'm actually doing something right now. And I'm like, I don't know how the heck this gonna get done. But God,
He's
you
gonna
told
fill
me
in
to
the
do this.
gaps. He gonna fill
You
in the
you
gaps.
told me to do this. So I'm not gonna lose any sleep over this at night because you woke me up at like 2:30 in the morning and you said, get it done.
Yep.
Start working on it.
Yeah.
So I started it, but it's dark. It's real dark when I try to look at the full picture. But you
Yep.
told me to do it, so I love that. I'm
Yep.
just gonna do it. I'm just gonna do it scared.
Yep.
Yeah,
He's gonna fill in the
absolutely.
gaps every
Yeah,
time.
right. I love it. Do it scared.
This is to you, Aunt Cindy. Or this is really to all of y'all, because y'all really been making me feel good about me. I've been loving the comments.
Hey, this is my cousin that I
Oh,
haven't seen in years. Wow. Hey, Valina, I would
I
love to
see
see
that.
you.
Hey, cousin Belina, I see that Abby. You ain't hold it against you. Still love you.
She's a Delta, Valina. So, yeah.
That's all right. We could. I just was telling someone the other day, one of the other professors, um, she was like, "What sorority are you in?" And she was also an AK. And I said, "I'm a Delta, but I won't hold it against you." But I was telling her, ultimately, we all have the same goals. We all have the same foundational things.
Right.
So it's like it's all jokey joke, but we know what our goals are. We are all in pursuit of the same things, and for that reason, you have no choice but to continue to bond despite the minor the minor differences.
Yeah.
Minor.
I love it. I love it. Yeah. Man, this has actually been fun.
Yes,
Totally
I
been
agree.
fun.
I might have to
Uh
start me a little talk show. Hopefully y'all
hey,
watch that too.
look, I can see you. She said, "Hey, I love you too."
Oh eight, that's there. You see 1908. I see what you're doing with it.
uh yeah, I could see you in that beautiful smile having your own talk show.
Let me go
I c-
talk to Oprah.
I c- hey, look, you have the power to walk through that door and talk to her. Look, that smile alone will get you through the door.
Hello.
You better believe it.
Thanks. I
You
appreciate
better
it.
believe it. So, yeah, once again, as I'm always telling you, I am so proud of you. The young lady that you have blossomed into, and how you basically flow through life with so much compassion. Because compassion, just that display of compassion, it gets you just what we were just talking about. It opens so many doors for you in life, so many doors that people that have all the experience and the financial means to walk through, but because they don't have that compassion, they're held on the other side of that door.
Yeah.
But you display it so well, and so many people gravitate towards you. So you're definitely going to go far. I know your drive will be beyond blessed, and I challenge all of my Life Structure family to show your support. The individuals that God has put on Isha's heart to bless could easily be us. Could easily be us. So I challenge all of you to come together and let's support her. Um, whether it's sending a monetary donation to the cash app that's on the screen, or contacting her and seeing where you can actually ship some items to. You can also inbox me as well, and I can get that information to you as well if you need to. But yeah, once again, thank you guys so much for tapping in. Hopefully, this really, really blessed someone. If you're kind of going through something, hopefully, you pull something out of our conversation that's going to give you the strength to do it scared, because that's what it's all about. So, with that being said, you guys just continue to be that light, continue to be a blessing, continue to wear a smile, because we all know sometimes you never know who you're going to be centered around, and that person, all they may just need is a smile. You may not even need to say a word to them. All they need is to be as greeted with a smile, and it can just brighten their day. So that's what life structure is all about: rebuilding and what bouncing back better. So with that being said, you guys have an amazing week, and until next time, we'll see ya.